I am the Maritime Economics Educator here. So thank you for showing me that I can actually fill my classroom to capacity.
Well, good evening. What an amazing turnout. I basically sailed throughout the night on the helm, and about the next morning, he'd been in his life raft already for 24 hours. In the tropics, because it's hot and you get sweaty, you want to cool off, but you don't want to stop the boat because you're in a race. Just jump over the side of the boat and I'd swim like 50 meters away. And the other thing was, again, to enjoy the nature. And I realized, oh, they've come out to greet me. And one of the motorboats was like pumping Kosi Sikelele super loud and saying, yeah, it's Freedom Day in South Africa, so that was very cool.
How did sailing for such a long period of time affect your social life?
Everything comes at a cost, eh? So, I mean, I'm actually quite a solitary person by nature. I like doing things on my own. I like the challenge of doing stuff on my own. And I think my friends and my family know me as such. They know I like to go out to do my thing, and then hopefully I'll be back in 6 months or 4 years or something like that.
My question to you is, how did you keep on going? What kept you going? What was your inspiration? And how could one like myself and many other people in this room, young sailors, go on adventures and just like grab onto opportunities whenever they are offered? What kept you going?
Sheer stubbornness, because I'd made up my mind, I want to do this, so I want to do it. But I think what it is also is I had worked so hard towards being there. And you get to a point where there's no more going backwards. There were people who'd invested in my project and who'd helped me. So there was a level of expectation from other people that also kept me going. Encouragement from other people was huge. I never realized what a huge gift it is to encourage someone and to build up their confidence. So I have to thank a lot of people for doing that as well. But if you look at the big picture, it's overwhelming. When I did my bicycle trip, I was standing on Gibraltar on the European side and looking across to the Atlas Mountains on the African continent, and I was thinking, I've got to get across those mountains, I've got to get across the Sahara, I've got to get across the Central African jungle, then I might land up in the Namib and there's malaria and stop. That's ridiculous. You can't think of it like that. Just take the next step. So I said to myself, take the ferry tomorrow morning, get to Morocco, get onto the African continent and see what happens. And maybe you'll think differently. And after that, I just took it step at a time. I'd say get to the next village, get to the next country, get to the next border. It was the same with a thing like this. It's like prioritize, do the important things, but don't look too far in advance.
Do your dogs go sailing with you?
Unfortunately not, because the one gets very motion sick. She can't even handle being in the car and she's drooling everywhere.
Any fishing on the way to replenish food supplies?
I didn't fish in the Southern Ocean because I have done it on previous trips in the Southern Ocean, and all I've ever caught is bird.
My daughter says I'm your biggest fan. And my wife says, who's sitting right next to me, she says, ever since about halfway through the race, I've been completely in love with you. So I can say this in front of my wife. She keeps nagging me and telling me, so now the truth comes out. So the fans have been there all along, whether you know them or not.
At least the wife is smiling.
She's smiling now. We don't know what happens when we get home.
So my first question is, so you have experience in sailing, like massive experience. So are you thinking of teaching people sailing? Especially because if I was to be on your sailing courses, it would be like a special sailing course because are you thinking, or has that been a thought of giving back to the people who are interested in that field? Because personally,
I enjoyed the time that I was teaching sailing in East London very much. So I often do have a longing to do that again. And you've just motivated me even more now. It is something that has been going through my mind, and it would be a nice way for me also to stay a little bit in South Africa again without going away, for 8-month seasons down to Antarctica and all over. Just teach on our coastline, and I also think this is one of the most beautiful and exciting places to sail. So yeah, I hope that down the line I might actually do something like that again.
And my second question is, do you have like PTSD of the traumatic experiences?
I'm sure, as all of you know who are studying to be in the maritime industry, how much experience counts when we're talking about being at sea. It's what gives you your credibility, and that's not just because that's how the system is. It's because the more you've experienced at sea, and the more different variables and combinations of different variables you've experienced, the more you will know how to react to a situation. So I think that anxiety has left me a long time ago just by practice, just by being out there. And so, for example, if you are experiencing what you call PTSD when something goes wrong or something scary is happening, the more you experience it, the less it's going to freak you out. The more you're going to say, this is a situation where I have to react quickly, but without panic, and I'm not going to let it traumatize me afterwards, because the next time I'm going to know even better how to handle the situation.
So I'm one of the girls that really would want to be part of the sailing industry, and there's a lot of us seated right here at the back. So my question for tonight would be, what advice would you give to girls that would like to be part of this industry, and especially in a male-dominated industry?
Is you've got to be willing to work really hard, and some of that work's not pleasant. Like, you've got to clean up the Blackwater tank or something. It's not a fun job, but just do it. The more you work, the more valuable you are to someone else on a boat. So if they see this person's willing to do everything, they don't have to know everything, but they're willing to really put in some elbow grease, you become an asset, and people will take you. And then my next bit of advice would be, and especially to girls, but to anyone again, is try and do a bit of everything. Tell the skipper, I want to do the oil change, I want to watch what you're doing, I want to climb up the mast, I want to scrape barnacles off the hull, I'll go and unblock the toilet. Whatever it is, do it, I'll cook today. Because the more you do it, again, the more you're learning and the more useful you're making yourself.
So I'd like to know what are some important key lessons or insights you've learned during your sail around the world and cycle from Europe to the Cape Agalis?
If you've got a dream or an ambition, it's worth pursuing it, even when it looks like it's near impossible, because it's amazing once you've committed to your idea, how much help comes your way. So it's actually astonishing how things sometimes fall in place without your knowing it. Don't let fear get the better of you. Yes, some things are intimidating, some things are scary, but most of our fear is hypothetical fear. We fear something that might happen, but it might also never happen.
Is there any advice that you would give to a young enthusiastic sailor who is working towards getting their skipper's ticket?
For the skipper's ticket, my advice would be, what worked for me pretty well was to do the basic ticket. You get day skippers, you do a comp crew day skippers, and you learn the basic things. And then you go out and you volunteer or do whatever you have to get as much experience as you can. Because that's where it gets interesting, is going out there, sailing on different boats, sailing with different skippers, learning different techniques, and look, wherever you go, you steal with your eyes, you steal good ideas, you steal good techniques, log it all down, because it's important to have that all logged, and don't be shy. Go to people and ask, say, this is who I am, I've done my day skippers, I've done this little, this is what I've logged already, and I'm desperate to sail, I'll do anything, take me with you. Don't be shy, ask people, because often people that you don't expect will say yes.
What roles does exploration play in understanding and appreciating the natural world, especially in remote and often harsh environments like the Antarctic and African landscapes?
I'm a nature and outdoors enthusiast. That's why I chose to cycle, and that's why I chose to sail. So if I can't be out there and enjoy the nature, there's no point in being out there. I'm out there to appreciate it. And like I was saying with the race, I sometimes had to just remind myself why I actually even chose to be out there. Just observing things, like going down to Antarctica and observing how many icebergs are floating around, how much ice is breaking off, what are the patterns of the movements of the animals. Even here on our own coastline, the sardine run has started really early this year. Watching when the whales come, you learn so much from it, and I think it's really important. I think there's a call to look at nature and understand how we're impacting it, and climate change is impacting it. So keep your eyes open and watch.
And just being here and listening to you, it's such a pity that social media, TVs and radio, it's just full of politicians, especially this time around. It would have been a better place if we had more of such beautiful stories.
On behalf of everyone here at Lawhill Maritime Center, I want to say our heartfelt gratitude for taking your time to visit us and share your remarkable journey and invaluable life lessons.